Today we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 13, Description of the Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj from text 1 to text 12.
I shared my screen now, Prabhuji. Pradeep Prabhu? Oh, he got logged out, looks like. Don't know he recognized or not. Let me call him. He's logging back in.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay, shall I start from the beginning, Prabhuji?
Yeah, your prayers we could hear. Now we can start from text one, Prabhuji.
Okay, sure, Prabhuji. Text 1. Suta Goswami, continuing to speak to all the rishis headed by Saunaka, said, after hearing Maitreya Rishi describe Dhruva Maharaj's ascent to Lord Vishnu's abode, Vidura became very much enlightened in devotional emotion, and he inquired from Maitreya as follows. Text 2. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O greatly advanced devotee, who are the Prachetasas? To which family did they belong to? Whose sons were they? And where did they perform the great sacrifices? Text 3. Udra continued, I know that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all devotees. He has compiled the Pancharatrika procedure of devotional service and has directly met the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 4. While all the Prachetasas were executing religious rituals and sacrificial ceremonies and thus worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his satisfaction, the great sage Narada described the transcendental qualities of Dhruva Maharaj. Text 5. My dear Brahmana, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am very eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about the glorification of the God of the Lord. Text 6. The great sage the, the great sage Maitreya replied, my dear Vidura, when Maharaja Dhruva departed for the forest, his son Utkala did not desire to accept the opulent throne of his father, which was meant for the ruler of all the lands of this planet. Text 7. From his very birth, Utkala was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. He was equipoised, for he could see everything resting in the super soul and the super soul present in everyone's heart. Text 8 and 9. By expansion of his knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, he had already attained liberation from the bondage of the body. This liberation is known as nirvana. He was situated in transcendental bliss, and he continued always in that blissful existence which expanded more and more. This was possible for him by continual practice of bhakti yoga, which is compared to fire because it burns away all dirty material things. He was always situated in this constitutional position of self realization, and he could not see anything else but Supreme Lord, and himself engaged in
This chicken
discharging devotional
masala ఇట్లా ఉంటుంది ఓన్లీ
పన్నీర్ అంటే అసలు చిల్లి.
Text 10. Utkala appeared to the less intelligent persons on the road to be foolish, blind, dumb, deaf, and mad, although actually he was not so. He remained like fire covered with ashes without blazing flames. Text 11. For this reason, the ministers and all elderly members of the family thought Utkala to be without intelligence and in fact mad. Thus, his younger brother, named Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, was elevated to the royal throne and he became king of the world. Text 12. King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Swarvithi, and she gave birth to six sons named Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vayu, and Jaya. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pradeep Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Sri Krishna Prabhu, when you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Pradeep Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Chandran Prabhu. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Sikshashthamekam Purusha Puranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Krupam Prapadye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Today we are seeing a wonderful section again in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So today is also the appearance day of a greatest devotee, Hanumanji Pavan Putra. So I'm praying to Hanuman to give the blessing so that we can progress, all of us to progress in the devotional service. So in the previous chapter, we have seen how Dhruv Maharaj is ascending to the spiritual world. So his Dhruva pole star, a special planet which was created by the Supreme Lord. So he is ascended to that spiritual planet. And at the end of the narration, Narada Muni says that he was glorifying these pastimes, and he also went to the place where prachetas are performing sacrifices, and he was glorifying the pastimes about Dhruva Maharaj. So this kind of created inquisitiveness in the mind of Vidura. So now Vidura is in this chapter. He is asking about who is Prachetas. Where was this sacrifice happening? Kindly, describe in detail. So now, so in this chapter, which is titled as Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So after Dhruva Maharaj left this planet, how his descendants performed devotional service and how they were glorious. All those details were given in this chapter. So now the verse number Suta Uvacha. So Suta Goswami is continuing to speak to rishis headed by Saunaka Rishi. So here it is said that after Dhruva Maharaj went to Lord Vishnu's abode, Vidura was very much enlightened in devotional emotion. So you can see Bhagavati Adokshaje, Praruddha Bhava, Bhagavati Adokshaje. So his bhava, his devotional emotions becomes very intense after hearing this pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj. And now he's inquiring about uh, Prachetas. So he started to inquire. So Prabhupada here makes a point that how these topics of transcendental topics, spiritual topics that Sutta Goswami is narrating, how Maitreya Rishi is narrating to Vidura, these are all very, very um, sweet and transcendental topics. One never gets tired of hearing. So here Vidura's his emotions are increasing and he's feeling more happy and more bliss. And similarly, the reciter also, he feels more enlightened and more happy to recite more and more. And he makes a point that, you go on chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and that also consists of the three words Hare Krishna and Rama. You will never be fatigued. You will go on for 24 hours a day. You will be enthused. Your enthusiasm will increase and increase. So, because it's transcendental holy name. So now the Vidura Uvacha. So now Vidura is starting to inquire who are these Prachetas? Which family they belong and whose sons were they? Where did they perform the great austerities? So he's asking four questions. Who are they? Which family? Which lineage? Whose sons? And then what was the location where the sacrifice were performed? So now this is again like we discussed in the previous chapter. Because Narada Muni mentioned about the Prachetas, now Vidura very inquisitive on the topic, and he wants Maitreya Rishi to expand on this topic. So so here after inquiring, Vidura is saying that Narada is the Mahabhagavatam. So Narada Muni is the greatest of all devotees, and he has also compiled Naradam Deva Darshanam. So he already compiled Pancharatrika procedure for devotional service, and he also directly met Supreme Lord face to face. So basically he's kind of invoking why Narada Muni mentioned about Prachetas. There must be really an important aspect on that about them. So he's indirectly saying that this topic is very much important because Narada Muni is a Mahabhagavata. So Pancharatriki Vidhi, like in the temple worship, we all know the temple worship, we do Archa Vigraha, Aradhana. So all that procedure comes from the Pancharatrika Vidhi. So Pancharatrika Vidhi says how the Lord has to be dressed, what day, what color of the dressing has to be done, what kind of ornaments, all the details comes from Pancharatrika Vidhi. So this is specifically for the Bhakti Marga, where one can progress with the 9 processes of bhakti. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam. The Archanam Padati comes from the Pancharatrika Vidhi, which is written by Narada Muni. So and then here again Vidura is saying, while all the Prachetas were executing religious rituals and sacrificial ceremonies, they were worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Narada was describing the transcendental qualities of Dhruva Maharaj. So again, Vidura is kind of touching upon this point, which was brought by Narada Muni in the previous chapter. So he says a specific Bhagavan Yajna Purushaha. So um, he is the one who is all the sacrifices is being enjoyed by the Supreme Lord, Yajna Purusha. So here again, Prabhupada is touching upon many points. How in the social classes like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, So in the Pancharatrika Vidhi, Narada Pancharatra, it is mentioned that how each of these classes can engage in the devotional service. So there is no, it's generally we consider only Brahmanas are engaged in devotional service, but all of the social classes have the respective devotion engagement in the devotional service, and Narada Pancharatra is describing those. And Prabhupada mentions some points from Bhagavad Gita also. So if you look at Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, verse number 45, Krishna says, Svesve karmani adirataha samshiddhim labate naraha swakarma nirate siddhim yata vindati tachsrunu. So he says, by following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. So qualities of work, swadharma. So when we say swadharma, that can mean two things. That can mean direct devotional service or the duties from the Shastra according to our own social position. So from our own social position, like Kshatriya or Vaishya or Shudra, whatever it may be, Narada Pancharatra has specific ways how we can engage ourselves in the devotional service. So again, Bhagavatam also says in the Canto 1, Swanish Sitam Atapumbir Dujasesta Varanashrama Vibhagashaha Swanish Stitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Hari Toshanam. So here also it says that uh, whatever caste you may be, whatever division of order of life you may be, but the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging their duties is to please the Hari Toshanam. So please the Supreme Lord Hari, Samsiddhir Hari Toshanam. That is the highest perfection. So here the duties, again, they didn't say this particular duty, that particular duty. They said like the perfection of the duties relies on the pleasing the Supreme Lord Hari. So the principle is given and the details were given in the Pancharatrika Vidhi, which was written by Narada Muni. So now here, so Narada Muni, again here, Vidura is glorifying the Prachetas. There must be really a significance why Narada Muni mentioned about them. So now Vidura is inquiring what kind of pastimes were described in that meeting. I am very eager to hear them. Kindly explain fully about the glorification of the Lord. So you can understand how these discussions were happening between devotees. Whenever they ask a question, they glorify the personalities and they give give the precursive on how this could be so glorious and all those, and then they kindly at the end they request um, the person to explain in detail. So this is how the great personalities when they talk, you can see how much the etiquettes they follow. So now the Maitreya Rishi is starting to describe the pastimes. Maitreya Uvacha. So Maitreya is now saying after Dhruv Maharaj left, his son Utkala, he was not desiring to take the throne. So here Utkala, Dhruv Maharaj, when he was young, he wanted a kingdom bigger than his grandfather. Now Dhruv Maharaj's son, he is completely uninterested. From the birth, he was not desiring to rule over the kingdom, and he is perfectly in transcendental bliss. So Utkala's qualities were mentioned here. So he is Nishanga Samadarshana. So he is basically from the birth, Janmana. So from the birth itself, He was Upashanta. Upashanta means he is always satisfied. And Atma Nishanga. So he was without attachment. Samadarshana, he was equipoised. Equipoised in all situations without, up and down, sukha and dukkha. The experience of sukha and dukkha is not bothering him. He's equipoised. And he is also Atmanam Lokam Atmani. So he's seeing the super soul present in everyone's heart. So just like in the Bhagavad Gita, it describes the Lord is present in everyone's heart. He's able to see that, have that kind of a vision. So all of these qualities Prabhupada mentions, it is a sign of a Mahabhagavata. So the symptoms and characteristics of Utkala, the son of Maharaj Dhruva, are those of a Mahabhagavata. So you can imagine, so by childhood itself, he had these wonderful qualities. So he is obviously is not interested to rule over the kingdom. So, so what are the signs of Mahabhagavata? Prabhupada again mentions some points from Bhagavad Gita. So he says certain verses. So Bhagavad Gita 6.30 says, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tayaham na pranashyami sache me na pranashyati. So for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So here you can see Utkala is seeing the Supreme Lord in everyone's heart. That means he is very much always conscious of the Supreme Lord. So for a person like Utkala, he will never be able to uh, take his consciousness away from Supreme Lord because he is able to see the Lord in everything. So again, Bhagavad Gita 9.4 so says that Maya tadamidam sarvam jagata avyakta murtina. So again, Krishna says that I am spread all over the universe. So these two verses here says the same point that how Utkala's qualities that he is able to perceive the Lord in both Prakriti and Jiva, right? So again, this is a point Prabhupada makes that the Mahabhagavata who experiences the Supreme Lord presence everywhere is never missing the sight of the Supreme Lord. So, and then the other qualities of Utkala is mentioned here, like what are the other transcendental qualities? So it is said here is in the Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam. So he is in this position where he is completely liberated from the material attachments. He is always situated in the transcendental bliss, Anandam. So he is always situated here. Ekatmayam Anandam Anushantatam. So that is also that transcendental bliss is expanding. So he is completely in transcendental bliss, which is expanding. And Maitreya Rishi is concluding that this was only possible by continual practice of Bhakti Yoga. So he is comparing the Bhakti Yoga like a fire, so which can burn away all the dirty material things. So, so here we can see that the qualities of Utkala is such that he is already enjoying the transcendental bliss and he is completely detached from this material world. So for such a person like this, the kingdom, is of no interest. So such a big kingdom that Dhruva Maharaj was ruling for 36,000 years with such a great opulence, he's not interested to take over that kingdom. So Prabhupada again makes several points that how a person with who has realized the self, Brahma Bhota Prasannatma na sochati na kangshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim lavate param. So here is an example of a person like Utkala who's already attained the Brahma Bhota stage. So he is so satisfied and he is so peaceful prasanna, that he's doesn't have any of the material problems, sochati and kangshati. And the process of bhakti, the purification of heart, comes by cheto darpanam arjunam, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as mentioned by Sikshashtakam. So, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, by purification of the heart, one can come to this transcendental platform, just like how Utkala has come to this platform. Similarly, we can also come to this platform, and we can also experience this Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So, Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. So, Prabhupada is making this point because in this verse it is mentioned Anandam Anusantatam. So, the bliss is expanding, and he is feeling that kind of a bliss. So Prabhupada is making a point that we all can come to this platform by taking the holy name of the Lord and chanting the holy name every day. So, and then going further, Utkala is mentioned here as he was not interested to rule over the kingdom. So he's decided to act like a dumb, deaf, and mad person. Just like Jadu Bharat, in the Jadu Bharat pastimes, we see a similar pastime. So here it is mentioned Jada, Anda, Bandira, Unmata. So Jada is like foolish, Anda, blind, Bandira, deaf, Unmata, mad. So Mukha, dumb. So he is acting like all these persons, even though he is the Mahabhagavata, just to relieve himself from this um, worldly duties of ruling over the kingdom and all that. Not only that, I mean, the actual fact is he is completely interested in the um, transcendental devotional service of the Lord. So that was the only. So again, Prabhupada makes several points here. Um, so, for all practical purposes, the whole world is full of non-devotees. And so, one kind of very advanced devotees is called Bhajananandi. And those who are Gosti Anandi, however, preach to increase the number of devotees. But even such preachers also avoid opposing elements who are unfavorably disposed towards spiritual life. So he's trying to make a point why Utkala was, situating himself like this. And sometimes um, to avoid botheration, unfavorable situations, contradiction, and to avoid materialistic persons, great saintly persons like Jadubharat and Utkala sometimes, they remain silent like this. So, and he's quoting like two types of devotees, Bhajananandi and Goshti Anandi. So, Bhajananandi, they are just interested into transcendental devotional service just by themselves alone. Goshti Anandi, they want to increase the number of devotees, and together they want to follow the devotional service and preach to everyone. So basically ISKCON is under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada. We are all Goshti Anandis. So we wanted to preach this message and increase the number of devotees. So and then Prabhupada, so here finally, because of this reason, Utkala was behaving. Obviously the ministers and everybody decided that he is not the right person to rule over the kingdom, and they gave the kingdom to his younger brother called Vatsara. So the son of Brahmi. So Vatsara became the king. And finally on the verse number 12, it says the Vatsara married Swarviti, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushparna, Tigmeketu, Isha, Urja, Vashu, Anjaya. So just like this title of this chapter says, descendants of Dhuru Maharaj. So now we are seeing the descendants of Dhuru Maharaj by King Vatsara, the younger brother of Utkala. So now going forward, we'll see the lineage of Dhuru Maharaj on this chapter. Hare Krishna. That concludes today's verse. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sri Krishna Prabhu, for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.